What is going on, YouTube? Andrew Miller from hookupheadlines.com coming back at y'all today with a spring practice update after the first 2 days of camp this week. Monday had the first spring practice, and then today had the second day of drills. We are recording on the night of March 8th, and so we are coming off the first two of what will be 15 spring practices. The first 2 days are, not in full pads, just helmet, shoulders, jersey, thing like that, and the shorts. I believe it'll be next week. You'll start seeing the full pads, practice, contact drill, full contact drills, things like that take place. Most of what I want to look at in today's video, though, is some injury updates. On Monday, Sark had his Monday press conference, his first press conference since the bowl game. So it's been a few months since he took to the podium to answer some questions from the media. Gave quite a large number of injury updates. Texas had some guys limited on the first day of spring practice. It still was the case today. There's actually been one more injury update that we covered at the site and that I'll give some updates on in this video. But I also want to, give a look at, with these injury updates, kind of what the distribution of practice reps is looking like and what some of the next guys up are doing with the opportunity here to, get some extra reps and, step up at the beginning of spring ball. And so, let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to start kind of going down the list here, starting with the most obvious to the most surprising of the injuries. There's a few that I'll mention here that, are injuries that I'm not surprised by, that I fully expected these guys to be missing spring ball. We'll start off the list here with redshirt junior wide receiver Isaiah Neyor. Neyor is, I'm sure most of you know, if you're a Texas fan, that he unfortunately suffered a season-ending ACL tear in a fall scrimmage last year. He's someone that sounds like he's coming along pretty well, though. In the last couple of months, he got back into straight line running drills, and sounds like he's working back in with some of the other players that are limited or out due to injury right now, but don't have necessarily as severe of injuries as he does. I believe I heard on Monday that he was seen when some of the injured guys that are going through the rehab program right now, when they were heading off to the workout facility, that he joined guys like Jaylon Guilbeau, like Keelan Robinson, again, who are dealing with less severe injuries than he is, but he's still getting into the workout programs with them, so or at least the same building. So I would consider that a positive sign. It sounds like he is on track for what will hopefully be a full return by fall camp. So, optimistic outlook there. Next name up here is sophomore interior offensive lineman Cole Hutson. Again, not a surprise that he's missing spring ball. We had talked about it on the site here in the last month or so that he was expected to miss all of spring camp. He is recovering from a shoulder injury that he had surgery on after the bowl game. In his place right now, it looks like there's quite a bit of movement, actually. So he was the starting right guard throughout the regular season, opposite of Hayden Connor. Hayden Connor is still getting the first team reps along the interior offensive line this spring. And in Hutson's place has been DJ Campbell, fellow second-year interior offensive lineman, which isn't a surprise. Campbell was getting a lot of those reps when Hutson was out at different points last season. And it sounds like Campbell has made some positive strides so far, but I'll be honest, we haven't heard a ton about him. Haven't heard his name a whole lot in the first couple of days of practice this week. So that's something that I'll continue to keep an eye on. The interior offensive line, I will say the depth has really stood out. Other guys such as Neto Umeozulu, Maalik Murphy, guys like that have stepped up. And so there's quite a few talented guys for Kyle Flood along the interior that are making some noise. So, with Hutson out, there's some guys that are having the opportunity to get first and second team reps where they might not otherwise. So the other interior offensive lineman that we knew about that would be missing spring ball is sophomore center Connor Robertson. Robertson's dealing with a wrist injury. He delayed getting surgery on his wrist until after the bowl game so that Texas could have a bit more center depth. If y'all remember, Logan Parr another backup center at the time last season, had actually entered the transfer portal after the regular season. And so Texas on the 2 deep was left with just Connor Robertson as backup center behind Jake Majors. And so, again, he was expected to miss all of spring ball. Sounds like him and Hutson are expected to make a full return by the summer workout program. In Robertson's place, it's mostly been Sawyer Gorham Welch. I can't remember if he's a third or a fourth year interior offensive lineman. Actually, originally signed with Texas. He's a former Oklahoma State commit. He initially signed with Texas as a 3-star defensive lineman, was converted to offensive line a couple of years ago. And so he's made a little bit of headway. It actually sounds like he's been working in pretty seamlessly with the 2s in this spring, and obviously Jake Majors working with the 1s at center. Next up on the list here, I want to talk about a few guys that I'm not super surprised by either, but that we'll still be keeping an eye on in terms of their injury status throughout the early stages of spring ball. Jonathon Brooks, third-year running back, he's dealing with a hernia issue that he had surgery on. I believe that was a couple of months ago. I believe he had that hernia issue before the bowl game, and was a little bit limited in bowl practice in December, but again, got the procedure done, I believe, again, a couple of months ago here, and was limited during the winter conditioning program. And that appears to be the case again in the first week of spring practice. It sounds like he is expected to make a full return here in the next couple of weeks. I would expect him to get back into the running back rotation by the time, maybe by the second week of Texas getting full pads on for practice. Another one that isn't super surprising to me, again, is Jalen Catalon, the senior safety transfer from Arkansas. He has an ankle issue that he's still dealing with. Sounds like it stems from an issue he had at Arkansas last season. He has participated to a limited degree in drills for Texas so far this week, but he has been wearing the green jersey. So like full one-on-one reps, things like that, he has not been a full participant in. I don't know if he's going to be a full participant throughout this spring, if Texas is just going to play it cautious with him. That is one that I will be monitoring pretty close. But like I said, for the time being, it's good to see that he's at least getting in the mix for drills, even if it is in a limited fashion. With Catalon limited, the safety rotation at this point, Texas has been doing some different duo safety drills. My understanding is, at least during the media availability window today, that the first group was Jaron Thompson and Keaton Crawford. I believe the second group was Larry Turner Gooden and Michael Taff. And so BJ Allen working in with a few other walk-ons with the third teamers behind Taff and Gooden. Turner Gooden had a nice interception that was tweeted out by the Texas football page yesterday. I believe that was from the first day of spring practice, so it sounds like he's making some good strides. But again, looping this all back together, we will continue to follow Catalon's injury status here as the spring progresses. He's projected to be the starting boundary safety this fall, so going to be a key guy to watch. He's obviously had a lot of injury issues throughout his career. Essentially all but one season at Arkansas had injuries that really cut down his playing time there. So another injury here that I'm not surprised by in terms of the guy actually being limited or missing all of spring ball is Derion Gullette, the freshman early enrollee. Was expected to miss spring, or at least was expected to not be a full participant this spring. Gullette suffered a torn ACL last year that kept him out for all of his senior season. And so he's going through the workout program or the rehab program at his own pace. My understanding is he is expected to be a full participant again by fall camp. But it does sound like he's coming along nicely with his rehab so far. He wasn't really expected to figure into the 2 deep at outside linebacker or edge. There's been other freshmen that have made noise there, though. Sounds like Leona Lafau has looked pretty good so far. At least among the younger guys, Ethan Burke has really stepped up. Colton Vashik has been a name to watch. Jamon Tapp, as well as Maurice Blackwell. Blackwell, an upperclassman though, but still a name to watch along the defensive front. But all right, so moving on here, this is the last of the names that they weren't really super surprising to me. I know I'm sounding like a broken record here, but a lot of the injuries that Sark announced on Monday were guys that we had known of or that had been reported that could at least be limited during the early phase of spring camp. And that's the last name here. Before I get into some of the more surprising names, is Jaylon Guilbeau, sophomore defensive back, the backup to senior nickel Jahdae Barron at the star position. We've talked about Guilbeau's injury status quite a bit here on the show in the last few weeks. I do feel that it's important, if he can get back for any sort of reps by the end of spring ball, that he's able to do so. He suffered a knee injury late last season in Week 8 against Oklahoma State that ended up ending his true freshman campaign. And it sounds like that knee injury is still what's ailing him at this point. There was some mystery surrounding his injury status from what I could tell during the winter strength and conditioning program. It sounded like he was still limited, but there wasn't much concrete evidence as to what the injury was. The knee injury, though, is what knocked him out of the season last year, and it sounds like it's that same lower body injury still limiting him right now in spring practice. The good news with him is that I heard about him actually taking off the brace and doing some form of limited drills with the rest of the team today, which is a positive sign. I will say that's probably the most positive news we've heard regarding his status here in a little while. Sark also mentioned that that the staff is pleased with where he's at on Monday during his press conference. So, like I said, some positive movement there for Guilbeau. In Guilbeau's place, it sounds like Austin Jordan, the sophomore boundary corner, has been cross-training a little bit. Texas has also been getting Jahdae Barron some reps at corner. So there's guys moving all around the secondary. Also heard about a possibility of Terrence Brooks cross-training, getting some reps at nickel. We'll continue to monitor that as Texas starts to work into more like 7-on-7 and scrimmage type drills and practice work in the coming weeks. So, like I said, for now, Guilbeau moving in the right direction, hearing positive things there. We don't have a concrete timeline on his return quite yet. There is still a possibility he'll be limited throughout all of spring ball. So we'll keep an eye on that. A couple of names here that were a bit more surprising, I think. The first one being sophomore quarterback Maalik Murphy. There's been a lot of discussion this week concerning Murphy's injury status. Sounds like he's still nursing that foot injury that he had coming out of high school. That was all the way back in December of 2021. He arrived on the 40 last offseason in a walking boot. And I believe by the start of summer workouts, he was at least getting back into the program, walking boot off. And it sounded like heading into fall camp that, he would be able to be a full participant and that, he'd be able to get in the quarterback rotation at some point if he was able to really make some strides in refining his technique and, showing that arm talent could, start coming to fruition in the bigger picture in his first year on campus. And, he suffered a hand injury. I believe it was a broken wrist, like a scooter accident in Austin last fall that also held him out. There were a few game weekends that he wasn't even able to travel with the team due to injury. And early this spring, Charles Wright and Arch Manning are getting the second and third team QB reps in Murphy's place. Murphy has been dressed and with the quarterbacks in drills, but he hasn't actually been taking part in them, at least during the media availability window. So that has given a lot of conversation right now around Arch Manning and what he's able to do as the backup. It would be good to see Maalik be able to get back into the quarterback competition, get some reps. He needs to start getting back in this competition soon before, two of the most talented quarterbacks in the entire country and Quinn and Arch are, able to really speed past him in this quarterback room. So, again, we'll continue to monitor his status. There's no concrete timeline on his return. As far as the foot injury is concerned, that It sounds like it is lingering quite a bit, and Sark said that the staff is being mindful of that. That was their words verbatim. So the next and really the last name that I'm going to talk about in this video as far as injury updates are concerned is freshman wide receiver and early enrollee DeAndre Moore Jr. The St. John Bosco product, it sounds like he is dealing with a lower body injury, leg injury that he suffered in the first day of spring practice this week. Sounds like he was in a walking boot on Tuesday. I don't know about that status today. The good news is from the initial word, it doesn't sound like it's like anything too severe, probably avoided like a torn ACL. So it sounds like worst case scenario was averted. He might end up missing a few weeks. I don't have concrete timeline on his return to spring ball, but again, good news is it doesn't sound like we're facing anything super long-term there. DeAndre Moore was getting the second team reps out of the slot behind Jordan Whittington in the first day of spring ball. Now it sounds like it's a pair of former walk-ons that are taking his place at the position behind Whittington. So unfortunate there. It's not like he got off to a good start in the winter conditioning program, and that he was really in the right mindset, fitting in really well, heading into the first spring practice. So a little bit of a setback here, but ultimately, again, sounds like worst case scenario avoided, which is good. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, wanted to give some injury updates here. What some of the distribution of practice reps were looking like in the wake of some of these injuries early in spring practice. So I might have mentioned this at the outset of the video, but Tarek, potentially Shane, and I will be coming back later this week with more wholesome spring updates. Talking about our thoughts, takeaways from the first week of spring practice. So that will be up here in the next few days on the site, on the channel. So anyway, for Andrew Miller at Hook'emHeadlines.com, that's pretty much it. Welcome.